Good morning. Morning. So, what is the background of why Kern County is a leader in energy? So, you have to have three things. You have to have geography, which clearly we have. We have oil in the valley, the highest solar radiation in, somebody here will probably tell me the entire United States, but at least in California. Okay? You have to have technical expertise, which is what is in this room and what we have had in Kern County for over 100 years. And what's the third thing you need? Okay, there's a car if somebody comes up with the right answer. Anybody know? No? Okay. Oh, you guys, I'm sure people will know when I say it. You need investor confidence. You need money. And without that, you cannot be an energy leader. You can be smart as a whip. You can have the best things in sliced bread. But if you don't have investor confidence and the money to develop it and the money to keep it going, it's not going to happen. And we have all three of those things, thanks to everyone who's in this room and thanks to the work that we've been putting into this for 100 years with oil and 20 years with our wind and solar, more than 20 years. So look, state policies have completely destabilized our economy, and they continue to create and try and determine our future. These are all the announcements and initiatives. I purposely made it so you can't read it because that's how it feels. It feels like every couple of years or every couple of minutes, a different legislator, goes to CARB or goes to the CEC or the CPUC or CAISO, all these letters that mean so much to all of us, and they come up with a different goal. Now, I'll be clear, the goals are all related. They're all related to reducing CO2, greenhouse gases, and pushing California consumers to make different choices. That's essentially what this is all about, pushing California consumers. I've been a land use planner for a long time, and I'm telling you, it's really hard to change people's behavior, right? It's really hard. But that's what California's doing. And so why am I saying that the next 5 years, why is 2030 important? Because in 2035, the order is to take effect that only new cars that are electric can be sold in California. And in 2045, they want to stop all fossil fuel extraction. I don't know how far they want to go with that, if they want to close the refineries or what they want to do. But at the end of the day, we have 5 years. Urgency has just become more urgent. And we have been running at top speed for the last 15 years, and here we are. So I think you'd all agree, there's no other county in California that has done as much for the state's goals and for the consumers of fossil fuel products than Kern County. And there is no other county that's been so demonized. I mean, there's a couple other small ones that probably get demonized, but we are at the top of everyone's list. So we are in this strange space where we can produce things like this. EDF here? Where? Shame on them, Linda. Tell them I put up their. Ah, there you go. This is EDF Catalina, and the only thing is they paid for this really cool aerial photograph. If any of the rest of you want to do one, but the thing that's so great about this is it shows both the wind and the solar at the same time. This is only part of the 160,000 acres of wind and solar that Kern County hosts, both in the valley. Most of it's now being built newly in the valley, but out in the desert areas. And so the issue becomes, if we're going to do all this work, and we're still going to be demonized. How do we continue to navigate this relationship? Because I can't move Kern County to Texas, and I can't move the resources out. So we have to figure out a continued way, and so far we've been doing a good job, I think, of navigating the state policies. So what do? We continue to accomplish. So this is what we've accomplished since 2015. I didn't put lithium battery storage up there. How many people know that last summer it was battery storage that kept the lights on? Does everybody know that? Did you hear the CPUC pat themselves on the back and say we kept the lights on? Kern County kept the lights on, okay? We built enough, there were companies here that built enough lithium battery storage that we could not have a brownout last summer. And I just ran the numbers and I was even shocked by them. So the California Energy Commission says we need, or the CPUC, one of the two, says we need 45,000 megawatt hours by 2045 in order to have 100% renewable energy, which actually won't happen, but that's their goal. They've already got 13,000 megawatt hours, a large percentage of which comes from Kern. Probably 2/3 comes from Kern County projects. I just ran the numbers. We have permitted the end of last year and moving into construction 15,000 megawatt hours of battery storage. Yes, no, let's give. That is an easy thing to say. There's people in this room that know that. This is California. We want it now, but we're going to put you through a 3-year, problem. CEQA, regulations, CDFW, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, right? We want it now, but it's still going to take you 4 years. It is amazing. And those lithium batteries are safely being managed by our fire department. We have them in locations that really work for our communities, far away from our communities. And that means there's 26,000 megawatt hours. That is doable by 2045. But once again, it is because of the work that we're doing here. And what is California doing? They want to eliminate the oil and gas industry. They give us money for workforce development, which we appreciate, but they don't let us produce the jobs. They support solar and wind, but they keep throwing local permitting challenges at us. And they say climate change is urgent, but they act slowly. If this is urgent, then why are there so many barriers in the rules and regulations that I have to implement? And I admit I am a clever planning director. I do the best I can to stay within the law, right? Protect our local communities and still support the good projects moving forward. Now remember, for those of you I've said no to, remember, okay? Good government is a government that says no quickly. You would rather, as an investor and as a developer, get a quick no. Look, I got it, you want to do that? I'm just telling you, I just don't see it. Rather, before you spend millions of dollars and invest and you go through a long, long process and then decision makers say no. So are there things that don't fit here? Yes. This is the Central Valley, Northern California like to send us their cast-offs. That's what they've done for generations. We're interested in new businesses. We're interested in creating a world where we have a future. But it was innovate, renew, reuse. This is what the oil company is doing. It's not what they're going to do. They are going to reuse their assets. They're going to renew their wells. For people who are worried that they're going to leave all of these things out there, for us to clean up, I say they haven't done it yet and they're not going to do it. Whatever they're obligated to clean up, they'll clean up. But more important, they're going to find a way to reuse it. And that is the power of our partnership with the oil and gas industry. Having the first carbon capture and sequestration project in Kern County, which was approved on Monday for CRC. I know, let's give CRC a... You know, and at the end of the day, it turns out it's the first one in the United States that uses a depleted oil field. The only other one uses saline, and other ones in Texas are using enhanced oil recovery, which all the oil people are now weeping when I say that. They wish they could do it in California, but you can't. So you can't with CCS. That is a new day for us, and I'll be very straight about it. That project is so over-regulated with layer upon layer of regulation. And sometimes that's what it takes to be the first. And I appreciate the company's patience. I appreciate my team who innovatively came up with notifications and mitigations and ways for us. My fire department who leads California. You don't have 15,000 megawatt hours of lithium batteries safely without a fire department that actually leads the way in figuring out how to do all this. And so what I say that because if you have new ideas, Kern County is the place to bring them. Because we will look to see how does it fit with zoning? How can we permit you? What are the things that we are going to be interested in having you maybe reduce, like your water use? And you can actually get good feedback from us for these new kinds of technologies that you can use in other places. And I am hopeful that this environmental impact report for carbon capture, and we have a second one that still needs to come to hearing for ERA. Between the two of them, it's 80 million metric tons of underground storage. And the state of California wanted 80 million metric tons by 2040. So once again, we're leading the way. All right, we'll see if this works. So this actually creates a better distribution of the future. So this is William Gibson, he's a science fiction writer, but the truth is the future is already here. It's not evenly distributed, meaning innovative things have not come to Kern County yet. They're being done in population centers, like San Francisco, like Oakland, like Southern California. And the question is, you know, they're being done around the world. So we want the future here. That's the message. We want the future here. This is the future. Does everyone know what direct air capture is? Okay, we're going to take it out of the air. I want one, okay? We kind of like looking at a new car. If we put it in the right place, and it's certainly not going to be next to whatever that green stuff is, that's probably, you know, a lawn. It's definitely not going to be next to a lawn, okay? But we have places in the oil fields, we have other places where we could scale this up. They're noisy, and they use a lot of electricity. So we have to put them not in population centers, and we have to find the right place for them, and we have to go through an environmental impact report so that we all understand how it works, and we understand what the unintended consequences are, so we can come up with conditions so people feel comfortable about this. But these are the kinds of industries. They pay property taxes, they employ people, and this is the kind of new industries that we need to attract. So here is the question. Here is the question. So if the energy default by the state of California is a forced outcome, they are forcing an outcome, right? They have this goal and they're going to force it. And whatever pretty ads they do or whatever pretty pictures they do, it's a force of the business community. So what does it take for us to have a clean energy future? Well, we need a conversation, and we need a different conversation. And what is that conversation? First, everyone has to be at the table. Everyone has to be at the table. All types of businesses have to be at the table. They have to be equally empowered to contribute. And it needs to be led by implementation on the ground experts. These are people who have built things, broken things, fixed things, made money, lost money, getting ready to make money again. These are the people who have actually built something, even if it's also financial investors. And we're informed by academics. We're informed, and we educate the legislators, but they cannot lead that conversation because they haven't produced anything. A theoretical study from an esteemed Stanford or Harvard or even Oxford or from around the world is interesting. To the development project managers sitting here who had to assemble 3,000 acres with 300 property owners to even start a project, that academic study doesn't help. Maybe it does. I'm an academic, so I'll say it helps. But it's not going to fix this conversation. If we have 5 years to stabilize the economy of Kern County, to bring new industries, to help our existing industries thrive, to continue to balance our budget as well as businesses' budget, we have to have the people who are actually working on these things. And we have to, there's a saying at the, how many people, about the Mojave Air and Spaceport that we have in Eastern Kern? One of the things when Stu Witt, who started that, a test pilot from Miramar, a jet from, a real Top Gun said, we have to let them fail fast. It's about failing fast, and I like that. And that's why I like to get to a no quick. If you've invested $10 million in the wrong piece of property, then I've failed as a planning director. And that's not the Board of Supervisors' intention. That's called a failure in my world. Because you didn't get the right back feedback. Some of my staff would say you weren't listening, but that's just my staff, okay? I'm trying to take the high road here, okay? And then it's on you. But at the end of the day, that's what we need. And what is the purpose of everyone at the table, equally, empowered to contribute, led by you? What's the purpose? It's to discover a common goal, a common pathway, not a forced outcome. That is not a conversation that works. By the way, that is a conversation. The state has a conversation. Without being too dramatic, their conversation is, oil is evil, it should all go away. And then the next day it's like, but not right now. I don't have enough EVs yet. And then the next day it's, yes, now you should go. No, wait. We want wind and solar, but we want these complicated interties, and we're going to prioritize this and prioritize that. It is so complicated. Now, does it have to be this complicated? Not really. Why does Texas build projects faster? They don't have any California Environmental Quality Acts, but I have visited some of these projects, and I don't necessarily want to build that way either, right? There's some balance between letting you build whatever you want, and the communities just have to live with it, or creating rules. And if you follow the rules, you get a permit, which is what the oil and gas EIR is. If you follow the rules, you get a permit. We don't have to have another public hearing. We don't have to have another conversation. Solar would love to have that. We have tried to get Sacramento to do that, and it's not happened. So, all right. I'm sorry. Siri. I'll try better. So what is the point of my kickoff? The point of my kickoff is everybody that comes to these events, any kind of event, even a business meeting, and they have a filter. It's what they're listening through. You have a meeting with your boss, you're listening through, am I in trouble and what does she want, okay? But you all have a filter. So you come to something like this. Some of you are here to be entertained. Some of you are here because somebody told you had to come. But I want to change your filter. I want you to listen to the rest of these 3 hours through the filter of, what could we accomplish with a new conversation? Everybody at the table, equally empowered to contribute, led by you, to discover a common goal. Listen to all of the people you're going to hear. What could your company accomplish? I'm all for the future of your company, wherever you're building, but I'm interested in Kern County. I'm committed to Kern County's future. So what could you accomplish with that conversation? What could you take from that conversation back to your companies? We need this conversation to permeate the conversation in Sacramento. Sacramento calls me all the time, various people. They know this is my conversation. Hey, you got a great idea. You're not executing it very well, but we are. So don't you think maybe you should listen to some of the things that our people are concerned about? What could we design? What can we actually accomplish? 5 years. This is the 5-year plan. Change the conversation, continue innovating, and be ready for the policies of Sacramento that are going to be really, I would use the word devastating because that's the right word, but they are going to destabilize us more. And we're just not going to let it happen. We have managed to stabilize ourselves even with this buffeting. And we could design a conversation, just have companies look to the future and be successful. I didn't have a chance to change this because it says 3 projects in permitting. So on Monday, 1's approved, the 2nd is on its way. And the expanded industries that I'm talking about, we're proud to have the first green steel Mojave micromill. It's 400 high-paying jobs. It's a vision of what we can do here. For those of you who don't know about that project, all the rebar, we are the 2nd largest user, we're actually the 1st largest user of rebar in construction in the United States. And we import every piece of it from overseas. And the next, so who knows who the next user of rebar? It's Florida, because they use it for hurricane protection. And we import it all, right? Because it's made from scrap cars. We ship our cars overseas, they ship the rebar back. So the Mojave micromill, an experienced steel company, permitted it. It is under construction, powered by solar. They're adding batteries, and they're going to take scrap from California, make rebar, and use it here. And it is the first new steel plant in 50 years in California. And those are the kinds of things that I am proud to have come here. A lot of their people were from Michigan and engineers and stuff. There is a learning curve. California's a learning curve. Remember I said that you need technical expertise and money? You also need a little bit of patience sometimes, okay? We speak a different environmental language here. You gotta learn how to translate. So those are the kinds of exciting projects that we're doing. We are interested in green concrete. We are interested in supporting our concrete plants in capturing their CO2 and trying to survive the CARB rules, who've told them they have to make their concrete more green. We have hydrogen projects. These are projects that actually produce water. They produce hydrogen and water, because a lot of hydrogen uses too much water. If you all are thinking of bringing me a project to make hydrogen and you need a lot of water, you need to bring a water treatment plant with you and clean up the 23 million acre-feet of bad water on the west side of the Central Valley. That's what I tell them. You have to bring both of them. You got to put up the money, do a water treatment plant. Okay, so we don't have enough water to just suddenly be producing hydrogen to send to the port of LA, because that's where it's going. Some of it will be used here. And then green biomass. These are all kinds of new industries, but we also have our old industries. We have retail, commercial, residential. These are all important things. The city of Bakersfield, the cities that are here, are going to continue to provide the communities where people want to live. The unincorporated areas of Kern County need to be for industry, as well as warehousing. And I wish it was this easy. Obviously, I did, you know, I telegraphed my joke here because I messed up the PowerPoint, but at the end of the day, this is what California thinks we're doing. We're just going to create a policy, and it's going to happen. Like, we're going to go get the big vacuum cleaner, and we're going to set it up, and we're going to suck it and put it down. And they give us these aggressive goals, and when in reality, it's 4 years. It's 2 years before it even gets to me. If I say 5, there's people in here who go, yeah, it's really closer more to 5, right? Okay, if we only have 5 years to make something happen, we simply cannot do that. So the second conversation is, how can you do it faster? How can you sift through the things you want to do faster? Innovation takes time, and companies sometimes spend a lot of time evaluating. I'm asking you to move it forward. Throw it out or move it forward, because we just don't have the time. Without a stable community in Kern County, the $100 billion, there's at least $85 billion that's been invested by wind and solar companies that I've kept track of in 15 years. So let's just throw some more billions in for the oil industry, and I'm sure that's low. The $100 billion that have been invested, those are long-term investors, and they're interested in our stability. And in order for our governments to have stability and keep the libraries open and take care of the dogs and cats and keep Meals on Wheels going, and then there's that pesky little 911 and the fire department and the sheriff, we need stable revenue from property taxes. We're not asking for more. We're asking for a stable revenue. And the loss of the decline of oil revenues, the unfortunate policies on solar and other things, we have navigated, and we will continue to navigate. But 5 years. So that is the race to 2030. That is the race to 2030. I look forward to hearing all of your ideas, you know, having that feedback from startups, having that feedback from people who just wonder, is Kern County interested in this? I look forward to all of that. And I want to leave a few minutes if anyone has a burning question.
Microphones.
Stunned into silence. Stunned into silence. Yes. Oh. I'm sorry, are you retiring? Who's retiring? Oh, was that the question? Yeah, I'm not retiring. But it's good to know, by the way, if you're a leader, which I am, and I appreciate the Board of Supervisors empowering me, if there's going to be a rumor about you, that one's not bad, okay? So apparently there's a rumor, and I was just grateful that the rumor wasn't worse, like some other rumor, so no. Yes?
All right, so CEC permitting process.
Are you familiar with that? And how is that changing the permitting for projects in her area?
I am so familiar with that. So we work very closely with the California Energy Commission, and HydroStore, which is a sponsor here, is going through that process, right, for their massive football field cavern that they're gonna store. It's a little complicated. I'll let them make their presentation on it. But at the end of the day, so the CEC has a process now. It's somebody has the number. What's the number? 205. 205. There you go. I'm stuck on 905, see, because I'm still thinking about carbon capture. So 205 says that if you're solar, wind, and I guess they just changed it for hydrogen, and certain things, if you're over 50 megawatts for a thermal, like you automatically have to go up there, you can go to there, and they'll do it faster than me. The truth is they're not going to do it faster than me, and so the joke is that even the people who designed it, and some of the CEC commissioners said, well, the developers from Kern, tell them to go back to Kern. And I said, feel free. So if you go to the CEC process, what happens is developers have to set up a deposit with us, and we will work with the CEC, and we will come up with the conditions we want to see. And if the CEC accepts them, I'll take it to the Board of Supervisors, and we'll get a letter of support. If the CEC doesn't accept them, then we're going to have a different conversation in public in front of the Board of Supervisors about your project. And I tell you, the CEC has a lot of respect for what we do here. So I'm not concerned about that. I'm only concerned about hydrogen going too close to homes and going into urbanized areas. And there are some issues we have to work out with hydrogen where you fuel in the front and produce it in the back. So, you know, gasoline, yes, they don't make gasoline at the Chevron gas station, okay? It's underground and it's safe. This is different. This is making hydrogen on site while I'm over here fueling up my gas car and a big truck is fueling hydrogen. So I want to think that through. So the CEC process, you want to jump up there? I wish you the best. So. But I appreciate all the staffers up there. Anybody else?
Yeah, hi Lorelei. Thank you for the information. I appreciate it. This is a bit of a pivot, but I'm just curious about, I know you're the expert on this, but I'm curious about drilling permits and what that looks like for our future, only because I work in the West Kern Community College District and we rely on property tax money and whatnot to run our college too. So I'm just curious, can you give us an update?
Well, there's people in the room that can give you a better update on what CalGEM is doing. I understand they're dribbling permits out. I don't know that they're dribbling out new drilling permits, but they're dribbling. So we still have 3 things to fix on the oil and gas EIR. We are at the end. You know, there's 3 things. So I expect to release the second supplemental recirculated EIR in December, and we'll be at the board in March. And then there'll be a year of trolling back through the courts. And so I expect to be permitting locally so that CalGEM can have coverage the first quarter of 2026. I have a whole, obviously, you know, I have a whole group that does this kind of permitting. And we will fix these last 3 things. And we will be back. So this is the downside of CEQA. The downside of CEQA is that people can keep going after you. But even the California Supreme Court has said there is an end. There is an end to CEQA, and we probably have gotten to it. So I am working diligently. I look forward to seeing what you all think when we release this in December. We have to fix ag easements, address some water analysis, and implement the dreaded 3,200-foot setback. So we will do that. Other questions? Okay, that was a downer. Can we end on an upper? No, I'm just kidding. I am proud to work for the oil industry. They are smart. They are here. They are part of the community, and I'm proud to work on wind. Wind is just, you know, maintaining itself. We have a couple of smaller wind infills. But if you want to repower, let's talk about it at some point. And we have thousands of megawatts of solar, literally, that are either in process. But I will leave you with this thought. We are running out of transmission. So we have thousands of people, for those of you who work in workforce, we have thousands of people at work in the desert. We can put thousands of people to work up here if they can figure out their PG&E and CDFW requirements. Those are already approved. But in 2027, all the transmission from the Tehachapi transmission renewable that started is going to be gone. It was permitted for 6,400 megawatts. With the help of Southern California Edison, we've managed to get about 10,000 megawatts out of it, but it's done. And they have not built a new transmission line in California since then. 15 years. They talk a good game. And CalISO's plan for transmission puts it all in Imperial Valley. It's massive for San Diego. So we should all move to San Diego. We should call them and ask them if we can all, if they have room for us down there, our 1 million people. So at the end of the day, we need reconductoring. We need the utilities to make their lines bigger. There are 10,000 reasons they don't want to do this. They have other priorities. But this is the new push. We could get 30 gigawatts, 30,000 megawatts, if we reconductored the lines for the utilities. So, are they going to get the utilities to do that and start doing that in a year so that we can make our 5 years? I don't know. But when I say we only have 5 years, we need to get these things done, there is a long list of complications. But every solution starts with a conversation. You either step into the solution with, we can't get this done, it's going to be hard, it's the wrong people are working on it. You start with that conversation, you will not go to the moon, you will not go to Mars, and you will not stabilize Kern County. If you step into a solution with, let's get everybody at the table who needs to be in this conversation, everybody, empower them to talk about it, bring some experts in, and actually come up with a new plan, then there's hope. So I want to leave you with hope, because that's all I have to give you. And let's go ahead and see what you can design with this conversation and the things you hear today. Thank you so much.